Good morning to those who've joined already. Nice to see you. Hopefully you can see my smiling face. We're excited to talk with everyone today. So we got another minute. We'll probably give it till 9:31 before I actually get started here. All right, we're at 9:30, everyone. I'm going to give it about till 9:31 before we get started. I know we'll probably have some others hop on after that too. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, everyone. 9:31. There might be some others who jump on. One housekeeping rule. Hopefully you can see your panel piece, and there is going to be a chat box. So if you've got any questions, feel free to drop those questions in there. I'll be monitoring that throughout this. And we also have some poll questions. So we will use those throughout this morning as well. So for those who don't know me, I'm Amanda Majewski. I'm with Higher Level. I'm the director of our HCM services. I've been with the company 9 years now, and this conversation is not only timely, but a conversation I feel like has been more of the forefront when speaking to potential customers, current clients about their workforce. And I also have a colleague with me joining us today, which is Beth Reichart. Beth, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. As Amanda said, my name's Beth. I've been with Higher Level for 5 years. I am the implementation manager, and my role is really consulting with businesses in really this topic that we're going to be talking about today, and streamlining and efficiencies, and how to get your team the most engaged, pretty much.
All right. So a quick little intro, and then we're going to hop to our first poll question too. So, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has sparked innovations in recruiting, hiring, onboarding, from, drive-up I-9 verifications to even matching furloughed workers with open positions into light companies. While a staggering 20.5 million jobs were lost in April, with 33 Americans seeking unemployment benefits since the start of the pandemic, many businesses continue to hire, and not just, the big box providers. So, Amazon, Instacart, people like that. Many employees are missing the interactions with their team and coworkers. So if your company chooses to keep employees remote, you want to consider ways for your team to connect and collaborate. And the one thing that Beth and I just cannot stress enough, and we hope to bring this to light throughout our conversation today, but communication is key to success in any company size. So some basic ways to stay in touch. You've got email check-ins, video calls, hopefully everyone can see my smiling face today, and instant messages. Using the right tools to be able to work from home efficiently and effectively will make for a more productive and happier team. Employees, they want tools that can help them stay connected, share ideas, seek help, and collaborate with one another. Employers also want to improve productivity, find, retain, develop that talent, and reward innovation and success, even, coming out or, really still being in this pandemic. And so our goal today is to have conversation about, finding ways to engage your talents, working remotely from recruitment to retirement. All right, so I'm going to give this a try. Hopefully everyone will be able to see this. So I'm going to send out our first poll question. So do you currently have employees working from home? So this, hopefully you'll be able to see out in your panel box. Feel free to go ahead and mark your question. We'll give it a little bit more time. Hopefully it's working for everyone. All right, got some responses coming in here. Give it a little bit longer here. And I'll close this out. So we're looking 80% of you who responded, yes, you're, you've got employees working from home. And now I'm up to 33 on no. So 50% of you guys voted. So, all right, we'll give that a good, we'll stop there. Okay, so, 2/3 of people responded saying that yes, they've got people working from home. So hopefully you'll be able to pick up some additional tools that we can suggest to you. And also, for those who aren't, but maybe are looking to consider it, hopefully we can bring some ideas to you as well. So, all right, well, let's kick this off with a couple things here. So first thing that we really want to talk about is attracting that talent. So, how can you attract that talent if you're not coming into the, to your workplace, or if you're considering it? So, Beth, if you want to take it from there for a minute.
Yeah, just as an extension of, this remote workforce is really driving every facet of business, goals, really, is what we're seeing right now, and just really hitting that home on. Even prior to COVID-19, the workforce trend was that flexible remote work schedule. And so whether you're recruiting or you're trying to retain your employees, business owners and HR department, they really are looking at that saying, okay, can we make this happen? And, we see this generational workforce shift. We've got some younger teams that are developing, and they really want that flexible schedule. So now we've introduced COVID-19 into this, and so we're really having to reevaluate those things. And that starts with the hiring process, right? Because even if I'm the applicant and I'm looking for a career, I want to know what my options are. And for you as the employer, you want to be honest and upfront. And especially right now, you also want to be very empathetic to all of these different scenarios, because that rock star employee could be one that needs a little bit more flexibility. And so how can I make sure that I am recruiting and retaining those employees? So next slide, Amanda. And we really feel like these are the big things to be promoting, to getting your company brand out there. Your priority should be your productivity, obviously, your culture, and training and development. And so making sure that that's known, because really, again, we're really going to be driving this home. Your biggest challenge for this, for 2020, really, now we're going into 2021, is keeping people motivated, engaged, and informed, because there's a lot of inconsistencies in the world right now and a lot of unknown, and it's scary. And so even if somebody's wanting to change jobs, or maybe they've got some home life scenarios with kids, school programs and things like that, how can I make sure that when my employees are at work, they're performing to the best that they can?
Yeah, so I've got another poll question I want to try to send out to everyone, just based off a few things that we've talked about, some challenges that maybe has been coming up for you. So our next poll question is, what's your people's challenge? So that should be coming out to you here shortly. So definitely curious to kind of see what people say here. You can select more than one item on this list too. So some things that we see that I've been reading about a lot. So energizing your culture, is it connecting with virtual teams, driving cultural change, attracting and retaining top talent, managing rapid growth. So can't wait to see what some people say for this. All right, so we're seeing some come in. Yeah, energizing your culture, absolutely. And a three-way tie between connecting virtual teams, attracting and retaining top talent, and managing rapid growth. So give it 5 more seconds here. Okay. All right, interesting. So 80% energizing culture, that was the top selected one. Then connecting virtual teams, and then also the lower scale, attracting and retaining top talent and managing rapid growth. So interesting. So energizing your cultures. Well, hopefully some things that Beth and I will be talking about later in our discussion that will give you some ideas. All right, so back on actual, attracting that talent. So a couple things that I just want to mention as well. If you are still experiencing a slow comeback, now is a good time to reevaluate your organization's job descriptions, possibly reassess the workforce to make sure that the right people are in the right jobs, and that you're checking to see that high potentials are on track to progress into future leadership roles even too. If you are interviewing, possibly beef up your pre-screening questions. We want to make sure that, a question you could ask is, we want to make sure that you really want to do this job. If someone is applying for a warehouse job, you may ask, how do you feel about standing all day? For a customer service role, are you comfortable being, on the telephone all day? So.
Yeah, and I think the good news, for employers is that you're going to expect greater productivity with these employees. So being fearful of how do I hire and hire successfully and train through a pandemic, I really think that you're going to see much more productivity, because you're going to see people that are very eager to get back to work or to, just do better. And there's a lot of self-reflection that's happened too. So I think we really need to focus on, what is your goal right now, right? Like Amanda said, looking at the seats that you currently have, what are the strengths that you need to hire, and really reevaluating your business needs altogether. Next slide, Amanda. So with recruiting and applicant tracking, that is obviously the very first step in all of this. And it's a challenge for many people. Culture, absolutely, right? Everybody wants that culture. Everybody wants to feel like it's a second home when they're at work. And of course, a lot of you as business owners, your company is your baby, so you want everybody to feel the same way. So how do you attract and hire the best candidates in today's world, right? I think that obviously everybody's always looking for the best talent, and really understanding that you can't just have a website that's in a link that says, hey, to apply for us, fill out this application and drop it off, or send us an email, right? That's not the best way to get the top talent. These people that are looking for jobs, they need technology, they need an easier means to get connected with you. And so you really have to try to streamline and take advantage of technology in order to get that accomplished. So it's all about the recruiting, it's all about the job postings, and it's all about the technology. Technology can be your partner. Some of us love and hate it at the same time, but you really need to use it to, again, get the best candidates. And so if you're thinking to yourself, oh, there's no way, I don't need an applicant tracking system, I'm just a small business, I'm okay with people sending me resumes, how beneficial really is this for me? So ask yourself, well, how much time do I really spend recruiting? That's one thing that I have conversations with, our clients or any business owner that I talk to is, really think about your time involved in all of this and what's your goal? How much time do you think you should be spending recruiting? And do you find yourself going through these resumes that really don't apply, or you're weeding through all of these things and you're spending way too much time? Because an applicant tracking system, or an ATS, is ideal for companies of all sizes, and you want to reduce that time to hire altogether. So if you have a position open, it's costing you each and every day to not have that position filled. So how can I get these great applicants in the door as quickly as possible? And that's really technology. So what should you be looking for in an applicant tracking system or an ATS to improve that hiring process, right? We know we've got these people working from home, and I kind of mentioned, some want to work remotely, some want to work in the office. So you really want to use an applicant tracking system that you can customize some of those questions that you're asking. So you can filter through, oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Employer, I thought this was a full remote job. I'm sorry, I can't take this position, right? So you want a system that you can, of course, tailor that criteria to. You want a system that also has a broad job board reach. So Indeed, Facebook jobs, those are the big ones right now. And you really want to make sure that you're putting in all that data and it's reaching out all those pools. Applicant filtering is really important as well. Of course, we talked about, preferences for where an employee wants to work, but also just in making sure that they're eligible for the position that you're putting out there. And last but not least, tailored scheduling and interviews. The hot new trend is doing, and Amanda and I have done some ourselves, is doing really web video-based interviews. There's the era of coming into the office to interview a couple times. That's really out the door. And so an applicant tracking system, to be beneficial right now, really needs to have those capabilities. And some are one way, some are two way, but you need to look at some of those unconventional interviews to be able to make sure that you can get this talent through your door, because a lot of people are fearful. A lot of people just have kids in school that their schedule doesn't work to get into the office. So those are really the big trends and enhancements that we're seeing in technology for applicant tracking.
And to add to, Beth highlighting an ATS program platform, there are, I couldn't tell you, thousands available out there. So definitely do your homework. Most websites are going to have maybe like a little demonstration, but if you really do feel that your time is better spent doing something else besides filtering through resumes, definitely it's worth your time to schedule some demos, take a look at what's available, ask hard questions, because it's definitely an investment that you want to make it worth your time.
Yeah, I think the big thing too is don't put yourself in a box and think because you're not a large franchise, like Amazon or some of these large organizations, that you can't benefit from this stuff, because you really can. And really understanding that technology isn't just for the larger organizations anymore.
Exactly. All right. So Beth has definitely talked about some of these key aspects looking for an applicant tracking, but you want to also make sure that your brand is being shown. You want your name out there. So again, finding an ATS platform that you can post to other job boards as well, so that it does help get your name out across those job boards as candidates are out there looking. Because a lot of the statistics that I read about and reading HR articles, there's plenty of people who are still looking for jobs, and they're out there. Here at Higher Level, we have been on a hiring spree, and we've actually have been pretty blessed with finding some great candidates. And we are just going to keep working hard at it to find those great candidates and add that talent to our team as well as we continue to grow. So
right, and to continue to build that pipeline of good candidates too. It doesn't hurt to keep that open and to keep the ability to hey, I have a need, right? And I need to start interviewing again, instead of starting from scratch when the need arises, to keep that pipeline open and going so that, again, you don't ever want to limit yourself. Make it easier on yourself.
Right, exactly. All right, let's move over past, okay, we've, gone through the candidate screening process, done the interviews, made an offer to someone. And now it's really time to start talking about their first day. What does that onboarding process look like? So, a lot of conversations kind of stem around this question of, how can, I give my new team member a good experience from joining my team? Onboarding can play a critical role in your new hire's first day and, what to anticipate. And good onboarding is especially important for remote employees. So if you're still growing, still looking to add talent, and now that you've kind of gotten over that hump of now having remote staff, you're more open to those sort of ideas. Because someone who's working remote, they're not going to have the same opportunities organically to integrate into your company processes and culture. So companies, we need to work even harder at having a good onboarding process and make sure that it's effective and in place, because more likely than having a 2.5 times more revenue growth and 1.9 times the profit margin compared to organizations with poor onboarding strategies. So onboarding, though, can mean a lot of different things to people. It can be what it is for the first day and filling out paperwork, to truly onboarding a team member. So, even at higher level, we have a minimum 6-week training program, but there is so many trainings that continue on. We say a good 6 months for someone is really kind of fully onboarded, where they're comfortable with the work that they're doing, they're making progress, things like that. So, an onboarding process can not just be the first day or filling out paperwork. But even creating an onboarding experience isn't always easy. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out to Beth or myself. But like many other processes in remote teams, onboarding requires way more documentation compared. So just because they are going to be seeing a lot of just computer screen, and what type of documentation do you have ready for them to view? So without a physical work environment, which is critical in the traditional hiring process, you can use video chats and have fun with your team meetings to get your new team member to feel welcome. So have a list that basically kind of breaks out each step, write it out. Okay, what kind of experience would I like for our new remote team member to join our team? What kind of experience do I want them to have? And start there. We make tweaks all the time. Here at higher level, we have team members all in different offices. I'm actually sitting in St. Louis today. Beth is in Marion, Illinois. So our entire team is not all in the same office. So we're constantly trying different ways to make it fun. You also need to help to identify the best channels for asking questions and finding what they need, especially if they work in another time zone. So just making sure that they've got enough resources in their tool belt as they start with your company. So.
Yeah, and a lot of it seems like electronic onboarding is a very big conversation right now because, of course, maybe your company, your organization had some layoffs, or maybe you had some people that, COVID you really impacted your business, and now you're able to finally start to get ramped back up, hopefully. And so you're having to get people back on board. So I'm having a lot of conversations with our clients and businesses about, hey, listen, I can't do this anymore. I can't have them coming in filling out W-4s and I-9s and all of these things. What can we do? And so I really want to enforce just the secret to a better onboarding process. Obviously, when we want to get rid of pen and paper, we should have all of that in an electronic file, because you know, who knows if your state shuts down again and you can't get into the office, and maybe you need some of those employee documents, it's really going to be to your benefit to have all of that electronically. And also, I know Amanda mentioned it just that first day, but cutting back on time spent reviewing policies and procedures. Now is the time for your employees to be able to understand what those procedures are, or you know, your PTO procedures, or whatever that might be. So making sure that you have that available to your applicants and your employees. And then the biggest thing for me that I always talk about with my clients is compliance, compliance, compliance. This onboarding is really, obviously culture is one thing that we're really trying to drive home, but for you as the employer, again, back to that, the pen and paper, those W-4s, those federal forms that you have to collect, you know, how you have to keep those on file for 7 years. Are you doing so? And you know, that's really a really important thing, because you don't want to be sending this documentation with social security numbers across emails, and you know, people have to worry about getting it printed out, filling it out, what have you. So making sure that you are sending that stuff and collecting electronically as well. And then of course, these other points are pretty self-explanatory. Reinforce your brand again. Put a video message on your onboarding that says, you know, hey, welcome, I'm so happy to have you, from the CEO or the HR manager, whomever. Really make them feel good about working for you. As they're filling out all of this information, make them feel good about it. So, and last but not least, really immediate information is going to be available at your fingertips. So if you have a payroll person sitting at home and your HR department's in the office, everybody's going to have it, and people can get to work right away without hesitation. And again, just to recap, you know, what do we find? What do we see when we have a better onboarding process? What are my results, right? I know what I'm trying to do. I've got to rip this Band-Aid off from what I'm used to doing to collecting this paperwork, but what am I going to get out of it, right? Improve job performance. When a new hire has those clear expectations, there's not going to be any gray for them. They're going to be able to get to the job and just perform. And, you know, like we talked about, we're seeing more productivity through a lot of this remote workforce. So that onboarding is going to contribute to that. Better retention, you know, it's less stressful. That first day goes a little bit smoother. You've already got all of that, the monotonous paperwork out of the way. So better retention, we're seeing that. Reduce stress and increase employee satisfaction. So, you know, that generational workforce shift, of course, that comes into play as well here. And just those people who want technology, they don't want to be filling out paperwork. It stresses people out. If anybody's ever bought a home that's on the call, then you know, or buying a car, whatever it is, paperwork's not fun for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and you know, we definitely have seen a lot more conversations with current clients. I know Beth briefly mentioned it, and this has definitely been a hot topic. You know, finding ways to make it a better experience for new hires and really start learning, you know, tasks and roles for their job. You know, no one wants to sit around you know, conference room table all day and completing paperwork. You know, people want to start learning exactly what they're going to be doing in their company.
Right. So, yeah, and you know, a lot of clients, they'll say, well, Beth, I collect this form specifically and I want this information. And really, your electronic onboarding, you should be able to tailor your experience, and really any form that you're getting filled out, you should be able to use a fillable form to collect that information. So if you think the obstacle for you to get that initiated is the paperwork that you're having completed, really that should not be a challenge for you, because your technology should be able to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to take a pause here. I've got another little poll question I want to send out to everyone. So let me know, how long should remote onboarding take? I'm curious to see what you know, people say about this, because I've read many articles and a lot say different things. So I'm just curious as to what people say out who's attending today. Okay, I'll give a little bit more. Again, let me know, how long should remote onboarding take? All right. Five more seconds here. All right, so 50% of you said it depends on process and training, 25% 5 months, and 25% 5 weeks. So interesting. You know, I think it depends for every company. You know, what type of role is this person coming into? You know, is it someone who already has a lot of that industry work experience? Or is it someone who's transitioning, taking a career change, you know, where they're going to have a lot more development and a lot more of a learning curve? So you're going to be spending a lot more hands-on and training for concept. So yeah, at higher level, I mean, we, you know, definitely like to hire people who are good with numbers, who like Excel sheets. But we also really look for people who come from, you know, let's say retail or hospitality. We're very, you know, fast paced in our world. So we look for individuals who have some of those skill sets as well. So, all right, let's pivot a little bit again with, you know, another topic here. So, you know, what and how are employers doing to engage their staff with human resources? So we're going to be talking about our workforce management now. So in my opinion, you know, to foster a culture of engagement, HR should lead the ways in the design and measurement and evaluation of a proactive workplace, and what those policies and practices need to look like that will help attract and retain talent with skills and competencies necessary for growth and sustainability in your business. You know, there's, you know, lots of articles, HR articles out online, you know, centered around this topic, you know, how to engage their teams, especially if you're working remote, you know, virtual happy hours, even higher level, we've done a few of them too. So, and I think even creating, tracking online training, as well as assigning course and pass, all personalized for your business to deliver across your entire workforce. Again, if you're all not working in the same office, and how do you ensure that training is happening, that it's consistent, and that it can be graded and followed up with people to ensure that they're understanding, you know, the material that you're going over when I'm talking about training too.
Yeah, and I think the training is huge, obviously, and that's really a hot topic, and we'll transition into that. And I think one thing to keep in mind for just workforce management is really that self-service portal for your employees, right? And whether you are maybe too small of an organization and you don't really have an HR department, maybe you are the HR department, the payroll department, and all the departments in one, or maybe you truly are your HR manager for your organization. But you know, what options do I have for my employees? And I think if you are sitting there right now and you are thinking to yourself, I need to print out pay stubs and put them in the mail to my remote employees or send them in an email, right? Then it's time to look at a change for engagement and in terms of workforce management. So this not only helps your employees, right? When you have some mobile options, whether it's a mobile app or mobile browser capabilities to collect timekeeping, right? Because we've got people working from home. What are my options to get that information? You know, those customized controls for those sort of things. But how can I empower my staff from home, from the office, from wherever, and really give them their information at their fingertips? You know, hey, I moved, I need to update my address. How do I do this? You know, keeping track of that stuff. There's just so much going on right now. So making sure that you give yourself that secure cloud-based portal and that you give your employees that same portal as well. A lot of my clients that I work with, they're reluctant to give a lot of those that information to their employees at their fingertips, but you see so much more engagement when you do that. And so security too, right? We've got people sitting everywhere, and I've got to mail this and I've got to email that, and people are filling out new W-4s and sending it all in the email. And guys, the emails are getting compromised so often now. So really take the time to look at how can I invest in something more secure for my employees and myself. And then also, how can I connect everybody in my organization with this stuff? How can I connect employees, the managers, supervisors, and me as a business owner? How can we stay connected? And I really think that that's that single data entry point. That's the key for streamlining information between departments. And, I really preach on technology because that's really what the era that we're shifting into right now is, that tech to drive results across an organization.
Yeah, and I also feel that, another challenge is just building that emotional connection with, either a new team member or, team members now who've moved remotely. When you're used to maybe being in the same space together and now you're not, and at the same time, it's easy for a new employee then to feel isolated. So creating a structure for these people, for your team, so that they can, reach out when they feel that they've got questions. And, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about today may seem like, daunting to implement, but just even the simple of, do you already have virtual conferencing or webcams? Start there, start small, because little things like that will ultimately just help create a strong culture as well. So
it's kind of funny because it's so often we see, somebody takes that baby step of initiating one of these things or implementing a new process, and suddenly the floodgates of ideas come, and then these businesses get so excited about implementing a lot of this stuff, and it really doesn't take much but a small step for innovation to happen.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've not been paying attention to my slides here, Beth. So
you're okay. We talked about the power of self-service and what is self-service. What should I be looking for? Because again, I always want to say these are some of the things that we recommend that you look for. You want to have, again, for these employees to feel part of your organization, but check stub and year-end documents, right? It's now more than ever our employees asking for this information. Unfortunately, a good chunk of America has been really impacted by a financial crisis due to the pandemic. And they need their check stubs, they need W-2s. So do you have that available for them to be able to get? Because again, a lot of this is a hidden empathy for these employees that are going through this crisis. PTO management, being able to request that time off, if you qualify for some of that FFCRA, the Families First Coronavirus Act, where you have that mandated paid sick leave, you want to be able to give them the ability to request that time off, to submit that information to you so that that can be done in a much smoother way. Also, team calendars, staying on the same page, those team connections, is somebody here, is somebody not there, that sort of thing. Customized time and attendance, I think that goes without saying. If you're not using an automated time and attendance system, that is the biggest benefit to using technology, and you really should look into how you can implement something like that with your organization. And then, of course, scheduler with contactless schedule swap. So scheduler is a really big thing right now too, especially for those organizations that have some revolving shifts and things like that. Being able to swap those, hey, I can't take this shift because I've got to pick my kid up from school. Being able to have that and to communicate across the board with your team and those managers and supervisors is really important right now. And last but not least, benefits management and electronic enrollment. If you have an open enrollment period coming up, this is probably going to be one of the more difficult ones that you've had in terms of collecting all of that information. And, you know, you might have to have a little benefits enrollments cocktail this year because it's going to be somewhat difficult. But really reevaluating, you know, this stuff's going to happen and life crises happen. So looking at what you're doing right now and how I can shift that to make it easier next year, because a robust self-service portal, it gives your employees the ability to have all this access at their fingertips. I really want to drive that home, really give those employees the empowerment, and all while making your lives easier with the ability to streamline that data. And you know, you're going to reduce so much of that administrative people management stuff. So those are the big things, the biggest benefit that I see to businesses.
Yeah, so you know, with many employers still you know, adopting the work from home policy, how can they engage with their team and with each other? So you know, there's lots of tools out available these days. You know, we at Higher Level internally use Office 365, which is Outlook's web version. And, you know, their tools that they have had, we've been using. So thankfully, it wasn't a huge change or adjustment for us. And one thing, though, that we noticed is their chat program and video conferencing feature that we use every day internally. They quickly made some enhancements to it, as you know, some of the large providers like Zoom, for example, were really pushing their program out there for people to use since everyone started working from home. So another thing that I think about, you know, how to, again, to continue to engage with your team and with each other is gamifying your teamwork. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about this then too, but, you know, it's a great way to empower your team. So if you're not familiar with that concept, gamification is the application of game playing elements to non-game environments. And it's definitely become a very popular tactic for companies to encourage customer loyalty and engagement in a fun way. So some tactics for encouraging competitions and rewards for everyday activities can be effective employee engagement strategy. So, you know, again, looking at ways to build in some metrics to ensure that people are staying productive with their work if they are working from home. I mean, statistically, there's been several, you know, articles that talk about that, you know, companies have seen productivity going up with their employees working from home. The other thing I would think that is beneficial too, employee engagement surveys have a direct focus other than just regular employee surveys. You know, how are we doing? So while employee opinion and satisfaction surveys measure worker, you know, their view and attitudes and perceptions of, you know, your company, you know, focusing on employee culture survey measures employees' point of view that they align with your organization. Whereas then engagement surveys are also looking at, you know, their commitment and motivation and sense of purpose and passions that they have for your company too.
Yeah, and I think in terms of engagement management, you know, we're at that point in the life cycle of our employee where, you know, we've recruited them, we've hired them, we're managing them, but how do we keep them engaged, right? And how do we empower them? And so there's really, of course, I'm a big technology fan, if you haven't picked that up right now, but I'm also a believer in making things fun. You know, one of our culture or mottos here at Higher Level is work hard, play hard. And how do you add that extra sense of fun, right? Because we all need right now, sometimes we need a little laugh or a little bit of a challenge or reward, right? You're in grade school and you're trying to be the, you know, win the race, so to speak. So, you know, a lot of this engagement management stuff, it puts the fun in work. And, you know, you may be thinking to yourself, all right, well, this is kind of about communication, right? And I have this email, so why do I can email out surveys, I can email out this and that, and but emails, they might seem like the obvious answer. Really the best way to collaborate and share ideas, engage your company via surveys, and deliver a personalized experience to your team is to use a tool that's designed to go further. And that's where I'm talking about that engagement management software, which is really just a hub for all things employee success and satisfaction related. And it adds an extra spin on the fun of it all. So some things to look for, of course, because you always want to make sure that what you're implementing is really what you want to work towards, right? You want something that's going to reward and encourage. You want an easy tracking with employee feedback. So reward for that performance, right, and that productivity. Set those goals and reward them and give them a virtual high five, right? You can also find some peer-to-peer collaboration on projects. A lot of times you can find some project management things within these type of programs that help you with the innovation to collect ideas, help with knowledge, and then recognition for the effort of those in that peer-to-peer collaboration. Back to that gamification, that's huge. You know, we really like that, and it just, everybody likes the badge of honor, right? And I've got a little rock star. Hey, you earned the rock star badge because you did such a great job. And really, that praise is going on way right now, especially with so much negativity, you know, with pandemics and elections and everything else. Let's really drive the fun and drive the recognition. Because how do we retain, right? We're always going to retain more if employees feel appreciated. And I feel like also if they're challenged and if they can track those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So learning management systems, this is probably I think going to be the next big thing for a lot of organizations. And Amanda's talked about it. We use it within our team, and it is so crucial right now because if you've got employees coming back into the workforce, then you've got to maybe get them retrained, maybe to get them refreshed, or maybe you just have new team members altogether. Keeping your training in a system where you can track progress, you can be streamlined and use the same tools across the board is really, really important right now. So you'll often hear learning management systems referred to as an LMS. And so with these LMS, they're designed to bring together learning to improve employee engagement, provide professional development, upgrade technical skills, and improve compliance. So we're talking about creating your own content for your organization. Again, getting your brand out there. So training could be a PowerPoint presentation, it could be just a training document, or maybe even a video that you're able to make. And then adding quizzes to that, adding metrics on, hey, they need to know this information, so they need to get an 80% pass on this. You know, you can be more efficient with your training content with it being cloud-based. People can access this stuff from home, from the office, anywhere that they need to, and keep it all stored in one location. So if you're traveling to maybe one of your other offices, it doesn't matter if your training documents are at, you know, in my St. Louis office, because it's all in the cloud. I should be able to just access it anywhere, and any of my team should be able to see it. You're going to improve your team's job performance by tailoring their learning to your organization. So a big training challenge right now is, of course, tech problems. And how do I get connected? I don't know how to jump onto this call. I don't know how to share my screen. You can actually craft, and a lot of times there's pre-recorded or pre-made content that can train on some of those technical challenges right now. And so starting with that and then growing their training from there, and really analyzing what kind of training and learning is missing. And, you know, just I think what we really find with our team is that it creates an enjoyable experience with that rewards and gamification. So whether that's a course path or just seeing who got the top scores, the top test results on something that you're training on, and the options. There's so many options on what you can put in here. Creating your own content, or just using pre-made content from different marketplace. You know, different companies offer different videos that you can purchase. So really take advantage of that virtual learning, because I think it's really powerful in terms of progressing growth within your organization.
Yes, I totally agree. We, like Beth mentioned, we've been starting to use it internally ourselves, and I love it. I love being able to, see a dashboard of everyone's progress, who's completed the assignments, things like that. I really am enjoying using this product. And again, not being all in the same office, it makes it easier to stay in touch with everyone. All right, so I've got one final poll question I want to send out to everyone. So what have you thought about trying or have tried to engage your staff? So based off some stuff we talked about today, or what have you tried? I would love to hear what everyone has to say. So that should be heading out your way. So some options that I've put in our poll. Virtual happy hour, an engagement survey, invested in video conferencing. What about even just investing in web camera? Have you implemented an online training program as well? So I'm curious to see how everyone votes. So take a few seconds here and let me know what has been working for you all, or what have you been thinking about of maybe trying to implement. All right, give a few more seconds here and I'll close that out. All right, interesting. The leader of the pack, I've got some people, they've implemented an online training program. That's wonderful. But everything else was pretty much kind of across the board that you've either considered or have done with these items. So yeah, thank you everyone for your feedback, and hopefully that helped with sharing what works for you. Okay, we've got a couple of the things that we'll go over, and we'll wrap this up because we're nearing our hour mark, and I know everyone wants to get back to work as well. So
Yeah, I think, with everything said and done, what does the COVID recovery look like for your business? After the pandemic is over, businesses have to determine, and not even really after it's over. Gosh, I mean, really right now is the time where you're having to determine what is the best course of action for my business? What is the best course of action for my team? And for many, that question might be, is it necessary for them to return to the office? I have several businesses that I work with that have completely closed down all their brick and mortar offices and have somebody remote. Now, of course, that's not going to work for all industries, but giving way to a more flexible schedule and implementing a technology to help get everybody streamlined, of course, is a driving factor in the success of it. So studies have shown that work from home arrangements can support productivity and morale. So for those of you that are really wanting to boost that culture and struggle with getting the culture to where you want it to be, really reflect back on what we've talked about today to say, could some of these things help with that? Can I get my brand out there by doing this? Because statistics are showing 60% have been as or more productive since working from home. 60%, that's a pretty high number. Those of you who think, oh, there's distractions, there's this, there's that, and in all reality, they don't have a commute to work. They don't have, maybe they have less interruptions from colleagues chit-chatting about the day, things like that. And then 47% spend more time with their families. So I don't know about you, but I like to work. I love my job. I love what I do. I love working at higher level, but I also love spending time with my family, and finding that balance is crucial for me. That's what I look for in an employer, and that's goes across the board for many individuals. They want that work-home balance, and really understanding that there's a lot more benefits by being an empathetic employer and finding some of those unconventional ways. And as a result, you're seeing more productivity.
yeah, so we've got a little bit of time here. Feel free to, if you've got some questions, use the little chat box. We would love to hear from you. Here at Higher Level, we are more than just payroll, of course, as our last slide just shares with everyone. the past few years has really just changed with the conversations that Beth and I have with people, and how can we really help manage your business. So, you know, if you've got questions, would love to reach out to us personally. You can send us a message. We'd love to talk to you. Love to hear how things are working in your business as well. So I'll stay on here for a few minutes or so and see if there's any questions. Like I said, feel free to use the little chat box and send us a question. Otherwise, if you don't, everyone have a great day and happy Tuesday. All right, we'll give another minute here. No one's has sent us any questions. I guess we answered everyone's questions today. So. All right, everyone. Well, we will call it a day. I hope that everyone was able to take some things away. Again, last note, also, this is recorded, so this can be sent out and shared with everyone. And also, this webinar is available for 1 hour of HR credit too. So we have, you know, gone through those certifications so that the webinars and things that we do present, you will be able to also obtain recertification credits. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.